Skirt, 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 skirt. Is that how do you say that? Skirt, skirt, skirt. Yeah. Beat it up. Where I beat it up.
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And what he do? And he's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, your very own. And how lucky are you to have a very own personal board-certified criminal defense lawyer here at your disposal for your infotainment, for your entertainment, for your education about the criminal law system and various cases. Boy, you're lucky. Just kidding. Anyway, today we're reacting to Tay-K. Tay-K is a rapper turned street hood, or is he street hood turned rapper? I don't know which. But he'd done some really bad things, and we're going to talk about it. And he starts trial on his second case because he was already looking at 55 years, and then it took off because he took off his bracelet. But before we get to that, this, like all of our episodes, is brought to you by AskALawyer.com. AskALawyer.com is a very easy way to talk to a lawyer for $49. If you have a question and you need it answered like right now, go to AskALawyer.com. You can either do their AI version, which I think might be a little cheaper, or you can actually talk to a lawyer to answer a question. Hey, do I need a lawyer for this? Or what is my next option for that? Just about any question you would need a lawyer for, go to AskALawyer.com. My grandma does it all the time. She tries to turn me in. She tries to do this. She tries to do that. I'm not letting her out of that basement. Just kidding, of course. But honestly, it's a very easy and an inexpensive way to get direction when you need it most. So go to AskALawyer.com. Okay, Tay-K. Hey, Tay, you want some K? He started out as a rapper, and in January 2016 on New Year's, he was or was not the trigger man of a shooting death of a University of North Texas student. Let's say he wasn't the shooter. What happens if you're not the shooter, but you're along with the shooter, and the shooter does some bad shit that's foreseeable? Guess what? In for a penny, in for a pound. If we go to a liquor store and we know we're going to rob the liquor store, but you have a gun and you shoot the clerk, guess what? You're done. You are done. You are just as guilty of that crime as if you had pulled the trigger. Do you remember in My Cousin Vinny where he says, I shot the clerk? I shot the clerk? And they try to use that as an admission? Anyway, that's what happens. Somebody goes in to rob a store, you're with them, and you're going to rob the store too, but they kill somebody in the course of the activities, you're done. You are just as responsible. And so even if Tay-K wasn't the trigger person, he's along doing this shit. And what happened? He got house arrest on that, and then he went on the run. Generally, guys who go on the run are not, found to be innocent later. So he posted, and then you post shit on fucking Twitter. Are you fucking stupid? You generally, okay, lay low. Don't say shit. Fuck this house arrest shit. Fuck 12. They're going to have to catch me on hood. Well, I think they did. Catch him. Try to make a bail argument after you post something like that, after you cut your ankle monitor off. So he became famous when the January 16th in 2008, he released a song, The Race. And the song taunted police. You can't make this up. What do we call that, ladies and gentlemen? What do we call that? I'm trying to teach you all something here. Stop self-snitching, right? So he says, fuck a beat. I was trying to beat a case, gang. But I ain't beat that case, bitch. I did the race. Beat it up where I nut. I don't know what he means by that. I know where do you think he nuts? He probably nuts in another guy's ass now that he's in jail. Beat it up where I nut, shoddy face, little bitch. I mean, these are just like right out of like William Shakespeare, don't you think, these lyrics? Eli blast cracking fours like a vase, gang. Pop a fella, then I go on my way. Pop a fella. Did you really pop a fella? Do the dash, then I go out the way. Rob a fella's shoes. Rob a fella lace. Give me that shit, fella. He didn't say fella, but I have to say fella. We're trying to see 100 bands in your face. Okay. Why don't you add 5 years for the gun he's got in his hand because he's a convicted felon? How many songs do you think he's going to record behind bars? You know, and I don't mean to criticize his art, if that's art, but it doesn't seem like art, does it? It seems like more like biographical, you know, like he's telling on himself. You know, I didn't beat the case. Well, he didn't beat the case. And I'm going to go on the race. In other words, he went on the run and he cut off his bracelet and he went on the run. Okay. The chutzpah that these guys have and the self-snitching, and I just don't understand it. So he's currently on trial for capital murder of photographer Mark Anthony Saldivar. So he and his buddies lured him to a photo shoot, and then we're going to steal his shit. And Saldivar hopped on the car as they shot and killed him. When you're on the run from a 55-year sentence, you really don't have anything to lose, right? Because 55 years basically is a life sentence for him anyway. So on the second day of trial, there's bystander witnesses that were called to the stand. They described a chaotic scene where the photographer Saldivar was pushed from a vehicle, shouted for help. He climbed onto the vehicle's hood in an attempt to retrieve his stolen property. If someone wants to take your shit, you can get more shit. Just get the fuck out of there. You know, you don't have to beat somebody up or try. Because if they've got a gun and you don't, even if you do have a gun, you don't have the right to shoot somebody for taking your property. A man then exited the vehicle and shot Saldivar. So let's watch a little bit of this testimony. And some explosive testimony, Joanna Reyes, who claims to be Tay-K's girlfriend. She's my girlfriend, but guess what, girlfriend? You're not my girlfriend anymore because now you're telling on me in court. So let's see what girlfriend has to say.
And so after you picked up Mark Saldivar, where did you guys go?
He asked us if we could reschedule for the day and if we can give him a ride to North Star. So I agreed and I said, okay, that's fine.
Okay. And so you were still going to give him a ride to North Star Mall?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so on the way to North Star Mall, what happened?
We hit the light at McCullough, and Tamar took out his gun and pointed it at Mark and asked for his bag. Mark.
Okay, I need your bag. You know, we're going to do a photo shoot, and I'm going to kill you. I mean, what the fuck?
Refused to give him the bag, so they all started hitting him, and Tamar was hitting him with the gun, and the whole time I didn't look back, but when I did, I saw his face, and I started telling them to let him go, and I just kept screaming, let him go.
Hearsay.
Objection, hearsay. Why isn't it hearsay? Because it's an excited utterance. I mean, something's going on like fucking crazy, you know, like somebody's getting their ass beat for a bag, and you're seeing this, and you're telling them to stop. And, you know, it's a chaotic scene. It's called excited utterance. So hearsay, and I don't mean to belabor the point on hearsay, but generally hearsay is not admissible, but there are exceptions, and excited utterance is one of them. But look at her. She's shaken up by this. You know, I mean, you can say this, you can say that, and pop, skirt, you know, whatever. But fucking A, you know, you're dealing with somebody's life here, you know? And if you're popping, guess what? Now your life is gone. But your life was gone anyway because you got a 55-year sentence. And it's just callous.
And Jalen opened the door and started pushing him out. And he was fighting to get back in the car. And then I didn't let him in the car. So he went around the car and he jumped on the hood. And then...
All for what? All for what? For a photographer's fucking bag. And you don't even know what's in the bag. What, some cameras? He didn't have any film because people don't use film anymore. I mean, what the fuck? All for what? For nothing. For violence. For the sake of robbing somebody. Just because you're into that.
The light turned green.
Okay. I'm gonna stop you right there, okay?
Okay.
So, when you all were at the light on McCullough, you said Tamor produced his gun, correct?
Yes.
And who did Tamor have the gun pointed at?
Mark.
And what was Tamor saying when he had the gun pointed at Mark?
To give him his bag.
And so, once the light turned green, what happened?
He pointed the gun at me and told me to start driving. So I started driving. I didn't know where to go. So I turned into the first place that I saw, which was the Chick-fil-A.
Well, if a homicide is going down, you build up an appetite. So you'd probably want to get a chicken sandwich or something. And, while he's holding, do you want anything? No, you're not going to fucking eat, buddy. I mean, give me a fucking break. Chick-fil-A. Oh. And you can tell she's just moved by this experience.
Once I turned into the Chick-fil-A, he kept yelling at me to get him off the car. I didn't know how to, so I was just going back and forth really quickly. And
in all reality, what the fuck is she doing with him anyway? I mean, why would you be with somebody that's on the run? Ladies, if you're looking for a guy, if they're on the run, probably not the guy for you. I've never understood these women or people. I mean, Gypsy Rose Lee or whatever the fuck her name is, that, chick who was in prison for killing her mother. I mean, all kinds of guys were writing to her, I want to be her. I mean, she's not good looking at all. Why the fuck would you do that? Give me a break. And then people write to people in prison saying, hey, oh, you're so, like the Unabomber. I'm sure this chick's writing to him. Ladies, if he's looking at 55 years, he's not going to be a good provider.
Mark kicked the windshield and Tay-K opened the door and shot him.
So how do you cross-examine somebody like that from the defense standpoint? I mean, listen to her voice cracking. She sounds like she's telling the truth. She sounds like she's reliving this experience. So what do you say? Well, you didn't really see Tay-K do this, did you? Yeah, I did. I mean, very difficult to get over testimony like that. So let's just watch a little bit more testimony.
But who is the only person that you saw with a firearm in the motor vehicle?
Tamor.
And so when you get to the Mexican restaurant, what happens?
I parked the vehicle, and then they started getting out of the vehicle, and then I got out of the vehicle, and they were going through the backpack, and then also going through his wallet, throwing things out.
And so you said, do you know where Mark Saldivar's backpack was at this time?
Jalen had it.
Going through his wallet and throwing things out. I mean, he doesn't even know what he has. Why would you rob somebody that you don't even know what they have and then kill them just because they gave you a hard time? Like I said, he's on the run. He's doing 55 years. He doesn't give a shit. He's on that race. On that race. Put that gun in your face.
Okay. And regarding Mark Saldivar's belongings, who did you observe with Mark Saldivar's wallet?
Jalen.
Okay. Do you know if there was anything inside of the wallet?
He had got upset because there was only $10.
$10. This was for $10. Now, I understand, certain crimes. I mean, you steal from somebody and it's hundreds of millions of dollars, and maybe you do 4 or 5 years. Maybe you stash it away and you've got it for the rest of your life. Michael Milken and Ivan Boesky is what I'm talking about. That's back in the 80s. I can understand that. I don't condone it, but I can understand. Robbing this guy when you don't know what he has and for $10. So your life is not even worth $10. That is what you're saying.
When you say he got upset, who are you referring to?
Jalen.
Can you please describe to the jury the demeanor of Tamor McIntyre and Jalen Bell at the Mexican restaurant once you all got off the vehicle?
They were kind of going back and forth, and then Jalen applauded him and gave him a high five, and they high fived each other. And Jalen said, "You caught your first body."
You caught your first body. Well, if you live like that, you're going to die like that. If you take the risk, you got to pay the penalty. And now that's what he's doing. Tell me she doesn't seem absolutely credible. Absolutely. And it's, what do you do? What do you do with somebody like that for cross-examination? You know, and the thing about it is, whether he shot him or not, the other person that he's with, in for a penny, in for a pound.
Can you describe to the jury how you were feeling when you all were at the Mexican restaurant?
In shock.
In my understanding, I don't know what she was charged with, but she was charged with a crime as well. So she testified, you know, for leniency on that crime. And maybe she had an aiding and abetting charge in conjunction with this, which is my guess. That's the only way you cross-examine her. Well, isn't it true you took a deal in this case? Isn't it true that, you know, you'd be going to prison but for your testimony here today? And then, you know, the counter to that is, what do you get from this bargain if you lie? Nothing. You get zero. I mean, this is what I see with young people all the time. Some really, really stupid shit. You know, without any regard. You know, when you're a child, you know, like an infant, for example, and you have, you know, like this object, you know, any object, like an orange, you know, or a phone. You hold this in front of a baby and you put it behind it. It doesn't exist anymore. Why not? Because a baby doesn't have any sense of permanency. You know, they're just building their brain. You know, they're building, you know, their experiences. When you're a toddler, you can see, like, falling down some stairs might hurt you, but you can't see your conduct affects anything. You're just kind of a little orb running around, you know. When you're 12, you got a little more permanency, you got a little more whatever, but you still don't have the foresight to think what I'm doing today is going to affect me tomorrow. And that's why when all of a sudden you little shits turn into teenagers, and we as parents, you know, have to worry about you getting cars and going out into the real world and all the different things that come with it, and you making decisions on your own. Are you going to make good decisions? Are you going to make bad decisions? And all of a sudden, you know, you don't think of your actions, how they're going to, impact tomorrow. You just don't. This shit is at a whole nother level, an HNL, whole nother level, because this is just some dastardly gang banger bullshit. And, you know, you caught your first body. And when you get into these murder cases, you lose the forest for the trees sometimes. And you want to be a zealous advocate, and sometimes you do stuff that may not be exactly to the judge's liking. So let's see how the defense gets admonished here.
A big misstep by attorneys representing a local rapper accused of murder. Tamor McIntyre's defense team scolded by the judge today. McIntyre, also known as Tay-K 47, is charged in the deadly robbery of photographer Mark Saldivar back in 2017.
As the driver of the alleged getaway car was on the stand, the defense made a mistake. Erica Hernandez joins us live here in the studio to explain all this. So, Erica, what did the defense do wrong here?
Yeah, Myra, before this trial began, a motion was granted that the defense could not bring up any bad acts committed by Mark Saldivar in front of the jury without further discussion outside the jury's presence. Well, today during cross-examination, attorney John Hunter brought up that Saldivar might have had a child pornography. Now, this was...
How is that relevant to him getting killed on the side of the road.
As Joanna Reyes was being questioned, Reyes says she was the one driving the car the day Saldivar was killed and saw Tamor McIntyre pull the trigger. In cross-examination, the defense was trying to imply that Reyes instigated the entire incident by leading Saldivar on and telling the others in the car that he had child pornography in his bag. That led to a quick objection by the state, the jury being removed from the courtroom, and Judge Stephanie Boyd having some words with the defense.
What matters to the court is that it's a bad act, and all you all had to do was approach the court. I would have heard it, what you are seeking to get from this witness, and I would have made a ruling on it. But instead, you have people who are violating rules.
Now, at worst, this could have ended in a mistrial, but Judge Boyd asked the jury to disregard any mention of child porn.
So when you are told by the judge, don't ask this question, don't ask that question, stay away from this topic, you have to. And it is a violation of a court order. You're in contempt, really. And why is that important? Because guess what? You ring a bell, you can't unring a bell with an instruction by the judge. So if I tell you, don't think of a pink elephant, what's in your head right now? Pink elephant. And if the judge tells you, okay, now, remember Mr. Rivers talked about a pink elephant. Well, I want you to disregard that and never think about a pink elephant again. Guess what you're always thinking about? A pink fucking elephant. I mean, it's just what we do as human beings. And so, what's the remedy for that? The remedy is the instruction. And it probably isn't going to go anywhere. But if they had to declare a mistrial because of that, then they start all over again.
Pornography during questioning or testimony instead. Now, the defense did continue to grill Reyes, even asking her if she was the one who placed the gun in McIntyre's hand, which she denied. Now, Reyes did finish testifying today. Overall, her testimony seemed to be a benefit for the state as she didn't change her accounts of major details that she claims happened that day. Now, testimony in this trial will resume tomorrow.
When you have a witness who's opposed to you, like Reyes, like the girlfriend of Tay-K 47, that should be his prison number, I think. Anyway, when you are going after somebody like that, you can really only go after them on really two issues: bias and inconsistencies. Otherwise, when you beat up on a witness that is sympathetic, which she is very sympathetic, wouldn't you agree? And you risk alienating the jury, but you also might not have a choice. You got to take that chance. Tay-K 47 is already facing a 55-year sentence, so he really had nothing to lose. But why the fuck would you do this? I mean, now you're looking at capital murder for $10. For $10 fucking dollars. We'll follow the trial, but this is not an unkind actor. I mean, Tay-K is not exactly a sympathetic figure. And in granted, am I giving you? I'm a defense lawyer, and I know how tough these kinds of things are. And I tend to look at things through the lens of, how can we win this one? In other words, through a defense perspective. And his goose is plucked. It is gutted. It is in the oven. It's being basted by the prosecution, and it's going to be served up to a plate of justice in not that terribly long, because that girlfriend's testimony is, she probably got an aiding and abetting charge, and then, all right, we won't put you in prison, or we'll give you a lot less prison because she certainly was guilty of harboring a fugitive and aiding an offender after the fact, right? So that's her bias. So we'll see you next time on Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, your board-certified criminal defense lawyer. Make sure you subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Make sure you go to clrbrucerivers.com for your hats and hoodies and all the goodies. And then I just ordered some art of Michael's. I'm going to put it up on my wall, and we'll see how it looks. It really is amazing. We'll show you that next time. And we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer React.
Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all
all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away.